Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity, and today we're up with the Panalisa and let's make this. Right, so we're using this star set which comes with a very large star, comes with a smaller star which will cut a frame, which is how I've used it today, and it also comes with this piece which is scored, rolled over on itself, and it creates a V which is a 1/4 of an inch deep, so that you can create a tray or you can create a 3D more solid box. Well, I just am going to be making a Halloween shaker today, so I have not used this piece, but what I'm using is Dollar Tree foam board, and it basically gives the same effect. Right, so move those out of the way, and I've also used a couple of pieces from 2 of the sheets from that Halloween pack yesterday. So I've already cut my bits out and I'm going to share what we've got here. Right, first of all, this is the largest star, and I hope that it's all fitting in there. And I've cut a frame using my Dollar Tree foam board. Let's see if you can see that. That's probably a better angle, and that is going to be the frame for my shaker, which will go down there. And I've also cut some acetate. Now, if you're like me and your machine doesn't always, you know, go straight through your acetate, just take your scissors, which is what I'm going to do in a minute, and just track around the edge until you cut it out. So that, when it's cut out, is what is going to go onto my star, and then I've got a frame. So that's basically how that order goes. So I'm just going to scoot those out of the way for a second and then come back to what I have used for the inner star. Right, so I want it to be a bit sturdy, so I've cut a solid base. I've cut a patterned base, which is from that paper. Now, what you've got to remember is those papers are designed for like cards and journals. So a star is an awkward shape because you're always going to have a point that's kind of going into, you know, whatever design or pattern you've got. So what I did was I cut into one to make sure I had a pretty background, and then I fussy cut out an image that I wanted, which is this little witchy girl, and I haven't bothered to cut that bit out. It's absolutely fine with me, and I know that I'm also going to lose some of that pumpkin because she's going to be going like that. So I wanted to get in between the frame so that I don't lose her, so that when those are glued down, I'm going to be able to flip it over and you can see all of this excess that I'm going to have to trim away. So, oh, and I've also got a little piece of orange ribbon. These are from AliExpress. You can get like 20 spools for like $5. I mean, it's really cheap. So I've just got a huge rainbow of colours, but I've chosen my orange one, and it's a satin ribbon. Right, so first thing I want to do is I want to glue, and you have to excuse my throat, my pattern paper down onto my black cardstock. So that's the first thing. Now, I'd like to say that this is going to be quick, but I don't want to curse myself. But I mean, preparation and die cutting probably took 10 or 12 minutes. So I do know that I want my cobweb bit up at the top, so I'm just sizing this up and trying to get it on straight. I'm just sliding it over, and then when you think you've got it, just press it down. That Halloween paper from Panalisa, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I really do. It's going to make a fabulous journal page. Now, I'm trying not to go too close to the edges because I don't know which bits I'm going to be cutting off. I know that all of this gets stuck down. So I've got lots of glue on there. It's been extremely hot here, But we have had some thunder showers. I just want to slide that down a little bit so I can see it, because I know I want her in there and I want her on properly. So I've got her down. I hope you can see that. So she's got a little background and she's a little bit 3D. I did forget to show you my sequins, but I am going to grab those in a minute. And those are just the black star sequins that you can get from Dollar Tree. And it's usually a good idea actually to get them around now. I think they've started getting some of their Halloween stuff in. But they do them in a very big bag, so you know they're going to last you for a lot of years. Right, so now I need to trim off my excess. I've got my scissors, so you have to excuse me if I just turn it towards me. So there you go. I've cut that bit off, and I'm going to cut the bit off between the legs. Just can't really see very well this morning. I've had a touch of conjunctivitis, eye infection, and it kind of makes me see things a bit cloudy. So there we are. Do you see what I mean? You're going to lose bits of your image, but the bits that I wanted are there, so that's the important bit. I really wanted that little girl. Right, so that's the layer that will go inside. So I'm now going to cut out my acetate, and all you have to do is just track up that embossed line, pop it into the light where you can see it. Can you see that? Just take your time about it, you know, you just don't have to rush. There we are. Now you see that piece has gone and we're left with that bit, and I hope you can see that. Right, I'm just going to finish that off and I'll be right back. Right, so I've cut that out, and the next thing is to glue it down onto my foam frame. So I'm just going to put some glue onto here, and it's always a good idea to get your glue closer to the outside edge than the inside edge, so that it doesn't come squeezing over your acetate frame into the window section, which is where you want to be able to see. So I think I've got that there. I'm just capping off my glue. I do love my new glue, I have to tell you. I'm still not used to putting the cap straight back on it, but I think what I'm going to do is pull off one of my my rubber ones and use that I used to have on my needle tip bottle. Right, so now we need to stick this onto here. Now one of the good ways, good things should I say, of doing your shaker like this is you get to see if there's any bits that you can trim off afterwards. And I can see there's quite a bit, and I don't know whether I'm going to be, you know, totally bothered about it or not. I will find out. So I'm going to shift that down. Yeah, I'm going to be happy with it like that. But you see, by having the glue on the outer edge, it hasn't squeezed into your window section. Now I do not have a clue how long that is going to take to dry, so I'm just going to scoot off for a minute and I'll be back. Actually, I decided while that is drying, I'm going to scoot it out of the way and make use of my frame before that goes on the top, because of course this is the piece that will hide your Dollar Tree foam board, and I'm just going to pop that on there and get it straight, I hope. Yep. And I'm going to put glue onto the back of the image piece. Just capping the glue off again. Right, you can see I've got glue on that piece, and now I just need to hold my frame in position and use that as a guide and then peel your frame back up. So I now know that my little witchy poo on her pumpkin is in the correct place. Right, so she's all down there. Have a close up. There we go. Isn't she sweet? I kind of like that she looks a little bit 3D. And even though this one is still wet, what I'll do is I'll put the black frame on top of it and then come back and assemble when it's dry. So here we go again with the glue. I'm just going on the edges of the acetate. I'm trying not to use too much because it's a slick surface. And we do have hellish humidity here today, I will tell you that much. There we go. So I've got my glue all the way around there, and now I need to get my frame on. So I'm just going to rest it and line it up. Now, as I said, you know, when you're doing shakers, don't worry about little bits and bobs that may hang out. I just don't let it bother me. I mean, if I can see a little bit of white, I just don't care. I mean, the only thing I would say for this Dollar Tree foam, if the company are watching, and they did actually send me a very large box of foam because I couldn't get any at my Dollar Tree. And that is, if they would do it in black. They do it in craft colour, but I really wish that they would do it in black with a solid you know, black core as well, and that would just be brilliant. Right, so that's our frame done. I'm going to let that dry and I'll come right back. Right, so that still is drying a little bit, but I'm just going to move it out of the way because what I need to do is fix the ribbon. Now, I can see it's got a point, so what I'm going to do with my ribbon is I'm going to fold it like that. You see that? So it looks like a fishy, and hopefully that is going to fit down in my points and just give a nice little, as I move it down, I've got quite a bit there, and just give a nice finish to that. I may actually trim it slightly. Yeah, I think I'll take a couple of inches off. So I'm just looping it like that. I'm going to go in here, either side of her, and get just a little bit of glue down there, and I think that should be enough. Then I'm going to take my ribbon, I'm going to spread it out and make it just fit that point. Now this is going to be hidden in the frame. Right, so I'm going to let that dry and all the rest of it dry, and I'll be back in a second. Right, so I'm just going to go with that, and if you look at the back you can see it's just nice and tidy. There's like nothing sticking out or showing through. So we've got our little hanger on, and the next thing is the sequins. So I have been and grabbed my sequins, and I've got a nice little selection So I've taken the lid off. I've stuck mine in towers in these containers, and these are basically my Halloweeny bits. So I don't want to overdo it, but I'm going to put a few of my little round ones in there, and I've got a bit of static. Oops. Yeah, right. And I'll screw that one off, and now I'm into my orange. So I'm going to put a few oranges in there, perhaps a few more, and then I'll screw that one off. And these are the stars that you get from Dollar Tree. Aren't they lovely? They come in all different sizes, so you know you can actually use big pieces like that and use them as a decoration on cards if you want to. And then you get like teeny weeny ones which are hiding in there, and I think you usually have to go mooching down to the bottom to grab those, which are like this size. So I want to put a few of those in. I've got a couple of those. I think I'll put another large star in as well. So I've got to put the pot towards me because I've got tiny ones in the bottom. Can you see those? Teeny weeny ones. So I'm just going to sprinkle those in. And of course sequins are very static, so expect them to stick all over you. I'll just dust them off. Alright, so I've got those couple of little ones, and I think I might put some of these beads in. Why not? I've got some like little orange and purple bits. I'm just going to use the tiny ones just for something a little bit different, just to break it up. Yeah, I can get totally carried away. Right, I'm going to behave myself and leave it at that. And of course you always stack them in the centre of whatever you're making, if you're doing it the way that I do it, which is build the window and then glue the window down, because otherwise they can end up running everywhere. Right, so right to the edge again with our glue. I can always go right at the top and put a little drop in once I've done this. Hope you can see what I'm doing. Got a little bit on my paper there, so I'm just going to move that. There we go. Now we just have to stick the frame on. So go down carefully, find your points, and give it a press. Now this is usually where you would just pop a weight or something on there. I've got a lot of steel rule dies and I tend to stick one on, so I'm just going to pause a second. Like this kind of thing, you know, I've had these for years. You know, your thick steel rule dies that you use on your Sizzix, and I will just get that and just drop it on. Leave it there for a few minutes and I'll be back. Right, and here she is, our lovely little Halloween shaker, and of course you can hear that, it does shake. Oh, look at that, I've covered her face up, bless her. Yeah. Ooh, let's see if we can get close. There we go. I really enjoyed making that. That was great fun. And of course, if you wanted to, and you've got some fibres, you can glue those all the way around the edge. And I actually do have some eyelash fibre that would look really nice like that. So, because it's going to take a while to dry in my humidity, I may do that and then come back when I do the project tomorrow and show you just how I glued that around the edges. But I just think she's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely love that paper. And that's just a great little ornament. Love it. Hey, look at that. Just really nicely finished. And as I said, don't worry that you can see a bit of white. Who cares? Right, I thank you so much for joining me today. Have an absolutely awesome day. I'll be up again tomorrow with more from Panalisa, and as usual, all links below. Bye.